seconds. Hey, Brandon, should I look in that camera?
What other camera is there? That little one?
One and two. Yeah. That one gets you, I think. As always.
The following is an exclusive presentation of BYU Athletics in association with BYU Broadcasting. It's time to talk BYU football. You're tuned in to the Coordinator's Corner, live from JCW's in Provo, giving you the inside scoop on BYU football from the coaches themselves, JCW's, the Burger Boys. To lead things off, let's head live to your host, the voice of the Cougars, Greg Wrubell.
And welcome inside JCW's in Provo, Utah, as we get set for Week 6 of BYU football. The Cougars home to Boise State on Friday night, and this is the Coordinator's Corner. Weekly, we visit with two of BYU's three coordinators. This week, we'll head defense with Coach Elisa Tuiaki and offense with Coach Ty Detmer coming up at the bottom of the hour. And your questions for the coaches can be sent in via Twitter using the hashtag CCBYU. Greg Wrubell with Coach E. BYU coming off a 40-24 loss at Utah State Friday night in Logan. And Coach E, I really do think that the 40 points allowed number is a bit misleading. The Aggies didn't get to 300 yards in offense, and really it was a lot of short fields the Aggies had. I thought you guys played better as a defensive group than 40 points might say, and there were 2 pick sixes in there as well.
Right. Yeah. I mean, going back and watching the film, I thought the defense played well. And there's always things to fix. And when you're playing an offense at any collegiate level, they're a well-coached team and scheme and all that stuff, and got a couple good players, and so they're going to get some yards. But I thought that overall, I was pleased with it. If we would have gotten a couple more takeaways, obviously it would have been great. But we had the pick six on our side, which was huge for us. Overall, the kids played well. The kids played hard all the way to the end.
Now, you knew the Aggies were capable of putting up a big number. They'd scored well in a couple of games already. But I know you felt going in that you had a scheme that could keep them relatively controlled, and for the most part, film showed that, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. The kids that played well. They did their job. I thought that we went in with a package that was just for 3rd and long, and we ended up playing that package exclusively because we thought that we could stop the run in that package, which was meant to stop the pass. But the D line played well, and felt like we can hold them as well as get more coverage in there. And that's just looking back at it, I just thought the defense played well, especially with the changes that we made in the game.
Yeah, we'll get to those changes in a second. You want more takeaways. You had one. It was a pick six from Micah Hanneman. You're averaging 0.8 takeaways per game. That's 4 takeaways through 5 games. That number was a lot higher, about 3 times higher last year.
Yeah, it was. And it's, little everybody just kind of doing their job, but also little things, disguises in the secondary, as well as guys making plays on balls, D linemen tipping balls, and we were not blitzing as much as we did last year, which might attribute to it as well. But I think that overall, it's just everybody doing the little things right.
You alluded to it a second ago. New look and new looks on defense. Was that partly a function of the bye week? Was it a function of you finding some different things out about yourselves in self-assess? What kind of led to that?
It was really just what we were facing,
Well, Utah State specific.
Yeah, well, Utah State specific, and the front was completely new. It's something that we've never really done before.
3 wide?
Yeah, 3 wide fives and a nose, but with a nose like Kyrus, that as well as handsome, and just the depth that we have at the nose spot, as well as being able to play the ends wide. Thought they did well, and we didn't even play it the way that we're supposed to. I mean, obviously we go back and there's some coaching points or things that we should have done better, but it was for the front did well. It was good enough. We just got to continue to refine all the things that we're doing.
What did you design Sione Takitaki's role to be just behind the nose there?
Basically a disruptor and a spy. For a quarterback who could run, he was going to be a spy for us. And several times, he almost got there, and the quarterback ended up being the one that hurt us on one of the plays where we went back to a 4 down. So when their last touchdown that we gave up, it was, I think, a 19-yard run by the quarterback. We went back down to a 4 down front. I think if we stayed in an odd front with the spy, it would have put us in position to play it, the right way. But they ended up getting us on that one, and it kind of happens when you get schemed and certain things that you're doing. But I thought Sheldon did a good job playing the spy technique.
More nickel snaps than we'd seen?
Yeah, almost exclusively nickel. I mean, we started the game playing more base stuff, and then we went and that's why you saw Grant Jones had a lot of snaps. He was supposed to be a third and long package deal with him and Chaz playing a little bit as well. But he played a lot just because of that.
Yeah, we're going to bounce around a bit here, but Grant Jones is an interesting story. He's been all over the field, both sides of the ball, since he's been at BYU. What made you think he'd be a good fit there, and has been a good fit there for you?
He was a good player for us last year. Did a really good job and ended up getting hurt last year, and that injury set him back a little bit. He had to come back. He lost weight. He had to get strength back and everything. And before we came as a staff, he was actually playing scout receiver.
Yeah.
And I think that's where his heart was, and he felt good about it. So when he approached us last year, we had him slotted at the 2 spot, which behind Fred Warner, which is going to be a guy that gets a lot of snaps, but he just felt like his heart was at receiver, and so wanted him to play where his heart was. And then when he ended up back on the scout team, playing receiver, I approached him and just said, "Dude, you can jump in right now and play for us. I mean, we've got a spot for you, we've got a role for you." And it was great because then when we got him back at that point, it wasn't like I'm doing what the coach would want me to do. He was like, I'm grateful to have a spot and a role to be playing, and we're happy to have him back. I think he's gonna continue to do well for us.
He was active, made plays for you Friday. A unique body type for the position, right?
Yeah, yep, long levered kid who can run.
6'6" maybe?
I think 6'4.5", 6'5".
Okay. But
really,
tall enough to where he stands out.
Yeah, yep. What's Fred? 6'3.5", 6'4"? He might be a little bit taller than Fred.
And Butch is down around 6.
Butch is like my height, so we're gonna tell everybody we're 6, but we're about 5'9.5".
By the way, speaking of Butch, he was making plays and went out. I know you guys don't talk a lot about injuries unless they're season ending. Hopes that he is able to contribute still this season for you and get back in it.
Yeah. And so he just got banged up on his hand, and so that's all something that you can just kind of tape up and put more duct tape on it and throw him back out there. So.
Now, you mentioned the word disruption a short time ago, and it was a disruptive night for you guys defensively. Now, we both look at disruption a little bit differently. I favor a stat called havoc rate, which is pretty simple. Havoc rate looks at four categories. Your TFLs, your PBUs, and your fumbles forced. Really just the 3 categories. The PBUs combine both breakups and picks. And out of that, I had 15 havoc plays in 74 plays defended, a havoc rate of 20%. And you'd been at 10% through 4 games, so you doubled it on that night. You look a little differently, look at a few more kinds of things, and either way, your rate was up too, right?
Yeah. I mean, we look at a lot of the same things. Takeaway would have shown up as 1, also PBU, TFL, and sacks. And the calculations that we have on our numbers, we were 27% disruption or big plays, and we kept them to 7, which we wanted to keep 7%. So we wanted to keep them 7.5%, and we wanted to double it and be at 15%, but we ended up at 27%, which is really good productive day for us.
And normally, if you've got those kind of numbers, and Utah State produces, and they produced 26 points on the night, there were the 2 pick sixes, you would expect to have a favorable outcome. Ultimately, everything is seen through the prism of -6 and the turnover margin. That was ultimately the killer on the night.
Yeah, and we know it. The offense knows it. They know it. If we keep that number down and we control the ball, then I think we walk away with a win. But didn't go that way.
All right, Coach Elisa Tuiaki, BYU's defensive coordinator, with us here in the first hour on the first half hour on the hour-long Coordinator's Corner. Coach Ty Detmer coming up at the bottom of the hour. Questions for Coach E? Send them in to my Twitter. Use the hashtag CCBYU. More with Coach E coming up from JCW's in Provo right after this.
Hey, Dave, could you pour me some of that?
Sure, no problem.
Okay, thank you. Welcome back inside JCW's in Provo for the Coordinator's Corner. Coach Elisa Tuiaki, first half hour. Coach Ty Detmer, second half hour as we go defense, offense on this Monday, getting ready for Week 6 and BYU home to Boise State on Friday night. Question from Twitter coming in for Coach E from David. Says, many college coaches get help and insights from other coaches during an off season. Do you at BYU do anything like that?
We do, and matter of fact, we went last year, or this last spring, with the defensive staff to Northwest Missouri State, the D2 school. That's I think won 2 national championships in the last 4 years, and really, really good on defense. Number 1 in sacks, number 1 in run defense, and takeaways and all that. And so it was really, really productive for us. And some of the schemes that we've gone to has been a spin-off of what we've done, as well as a mix with that. And so that's definitely something that we do, and I think every year a lot of coaches are doing that. You know, kind of hooking up with old friends that are doing things differently, or just reaching out to people who are really successful at what they do, and trying to meet with them, whether it's an NFL team or college team, even Division 2, Division 3 school.
Okay. Also from Twitter, this from EC. It seems in most games BYU is in a base zone or man coverage. Do you plan on doing more exotic or overload blitzing? And he uses the word blitzing there. You didn't have blitzed as much this year as last year, as you've said.
Yeah, it all just depends on the week, depends on who you're facing. You know, I think blitzing's fine if you can cover, right? So that's normally what it is. It's adding more people into the pass rush, taking away people from coverage. And we felt like this year we've been a little bit more leaning more to getting more coverage and just sending 4 down, and 3 down, 4 down, even 5 at the most, just because we want to play more coverage than anything else.
Okay. Twitter from Tanner. Did you anticipate Kairos Tonga being this good, this fast?
Yeah. He reminds me a lot of one of the D tackles that's at Utah now, Lowell, who the body was capable, but didn't really get it yet, and then 2, 3, 4 games in, just really clicked. And so Kairos is getting to that point now. You're starting to see him react faster to blocks, starting to see him more disruptive. He's got the body of an NFL player right now, and as he continues to learn the game and get stronger and get his body back from his mission, he's going to get better and better.
So you mentioned Lowell Lotulelei, and that's a big name to talk about for a guy that's so new to the game, but you think he has the potential to be a pro player? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think Kairos has the potential to be, if he can stay healthy, God willing, and continue to learn and get better at the game, he could end up being one of the great ones to come out of BYU. Like, he's that good.
What did he show you in particular on Friday night that show you how far he's come from, say, game 1?
Reaction to blocks is probably the biggest thing with D linemen. The ability to use your hands, but also turn your hands back to where they belong. And so a lot of times, earlier on, if you go back and watch film, he's just kind of getting upfield. He's just running and just kind of like, get out of my way, But now you're actually starting to see him use his hands and place them in the right spots and react to blocks and schemes and place them in the right spot. And when he gets his hands in the right spot and starts working back towards pressure, nobody can block him. He can just bend people over. He's just so strong.
It's been fun to watch. Another question from Twitter, #CCBYU. Is from Jeffrey Butler. How do you feel about the depth between 1 to 10 on your D-line right now? And how are the kids picking up the scheme?
Yeah, the depth is really good at the D-line. I think that's probably the deepest spot that we have. And, in the last year, we've recruited to that with guys like Lorenzo Falataya playing early, as a freshman. But we're really deep there. And if you watch the games, I'll rotate 3 sets of D tackles and really 2.5 sets of D ends just to keep those guys fresh. And, football for O linemen and D linemen it's a little bit different. You're not just running, but you're actually going up against force pushing back on you, and so you get tired a little quicker. And philosophically, I always believe if you can keep those guys fresh, you have a chance to play good defense.
One guy you're not able to rotate right now is Tavita Mounga, right?
Right. Yeah. Tavita has gone through some deals, and he's probably not going to be back for the rest of the year, but we're looking to get him back next year. As a junior again, just because he can get a year back as a redshirt.
You mentioned that I wanted to bring up Lorenzo Falataya. Early in camp, he was kind of one of the revelations to me, like, wow, you got yourself a really good kid here on the D-line. Then he was out, and you hoped he'd be back. You said maybe, I think when we talked preseason, maybe game 3 or 4, and right around then he did come back. How's he look to you, and maybe Friday being his best game?
Yeah, look better. He was He looked like he was still coming off an injury against Wisconsin and got rolled up a couple times, but he actually looked really confident and played better against Utah State. and he continues to get better and better and better.
And with someone like that, another guy who's just new to the program, and Kalani's mentioned this too, there are a lot of guys on this team that are playing big roles that were either high school or missions last year. In a way, it's exciting. In a way, it means that you've got obviously have to get deeper over time, right?
Yeah. I mean, those guys have done a really good job coming off of missions, obviously, and coming off of coming straight out of high school and being contributors. You normally don't see that at the D-line spot because there's such a big difference, big gap from high school to college with how strong kids are and how much time they put in the weight room. For Lorenzo as well as Lange Tuifua to step up and have a role, right away I think is a good thing.
What are some names of some kids who aren't playing right now but will play down the line that you're equally excited about playing on your D-line?
Keanu Saleapanga is redshirting right now, and I think that he's going to be another great one. He's a legitimate 6'5" at least, and really, really good hands, disruptive. He was the one that was committed to USC for a long time, and they kind of fell off when he looked like he was going to struggle academically to become eligible, and that's when we first got hired, came in and picked him up, and so he's going to be really good. If all the other guys we can keep healthy, Alden Tuffa is another one. Is a guy that is probably a tweener body between playing D-end and D-tackle. He's big enough to play D-tackle, but still quick enough to play D-end, and so we're excited about him. And then obviously getting Wayne Kirby,
the Oregon transfer
from Oregon, he's got to sit out this year, but he's got a lot of ability. He looks a lot like Tevita Mounga. And so we're going to have a lot of guys at that spot.
With the schedule you guys have lined up for years to come, you're going to need more of those types of guys to make you competitive where you need to be up front, right?
Right.
And you think you've got them.
Right. Yeah, we do. We feel pretty good about the guys up front. We got to just continue to recruit and just get guys that fit into the system. We need more corners. Every single year we need corners, and every year we'll probably take a D lineman or two.
Little cross promotion here. Tomorrow night on our Satake show on BYU TV, BYU Radio, Kairos Tonga will be our guest on tomorrow night's Coaches Show. So join us there. Go to BYUCougars.com/Satake show and get your free seats for the show. Bam Bams has post-show dinner tomorrow night for us, and we'll make sure Kairos gets a little bit of that on the way out too. So Kairos is tomorrow night. Last week on the Satake show we had Corbin Kofusi, and Corbin was pretty active in Logan on Friday night too.
Yeah, Corbin did a great job. Corbin plays hard. Is getting better every single day. Works hard at his craft, and I love that he's football exclusive now. He's going to get better and better, and bigger and stronger, and he won't lose that weight.
All right, break time. We'll come back. Our final segment with Coach Tuiaki. We'll hit Boise State, get his thoughts on the Broncos. It's BYU and Boise Friday at LaVell Edwards Stadium. 6:15 radio pregame, 8:15 kick for the Cougars and the Broncos. Ty Detmer's coming up at the bottom of the hour. BYU's offensive coordinator joining us on the Coordinator's Corner. Right now it's Coach E and the defense, and final segment with Coach Tuiaki is next here at JCW's on the Coordinator's Corner. Back after this.
Hi, I'm Ed Sigley. It's great to see you.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, it makes me happy. I would too. So, but if you get him and so David Mola came on really, really good. Before he got hurt, he was the best player in the league. I mean, just disruptive. But him and Kairos together. Yeah, I mean,
and welcome back inside JCW's here in Provo for the Coordinator's Corner. Every Monday, noon to 1, we talk with two of BYU's 3 coordinators on a rotating basis. And this week, it's Coach E and Coach D, I guess we'd say. Coach Detmer coming up at the bottom of the hour. Elisa Tuiaki with us now as we go defense and offense in that order. And it is Boise State week. Broncos coming in. And Broncos and BYU are kind of in a similar boat in that the results that they expect maybe haven't been there early. How do they look to you?
They look good as usual. I mean, they look really innovative on offense. They they do a lot. I mean, a lot of different personnel groups, a lot of different shifts and formations, and so that always, that type of scheme always gives you problems, just to make sure that you're sound and you got every gap covered. And I think they're a well coached team.
Now, you came off a bye with some new looks defensively. They're coming off a bye, and their coach has already promised changes offensively. So you're probably going to see some things you haven't seen yet when you see them on Friday.
Right. And it was the same last year. They did some things that we didn't see, and one of them they ended up scoring on. And so we've got to make sure that we're sound in all of our assignments and try to, we got to sit back and try to scheme ourselves as well, just to make sure that there's no holes in what we're trying to do.
Enough guys back on their side, coaching and otherwise, to make last year's film pretty useful, do you think, right now? Are there enough guys back?
The main guy, the quarterback, is back, but they also use another quarterback is a little bit more run ability. And they've used both. I think their quarterback from last year is a really good player, been banged up, and he's taken a lot of hits this year. And so running back isn't as good as the guy last year, but they have a lot of different running backs that can play.
Now, I thought last week's game was huge for what it could mean to BYU with a win. You don't get the result, so it gets to the next huge game, and it's Boise State now. There's still a lot of things that you want to get done as a team, and they hinge on making sure you get that next win in the win column as soon as possible, because time is wasting, obviously.
Yep, absolutely, and that's one of the things that Coach Itaka talked about, to the team is we have 8, right? We have 8 left. I mean, that's a lot of football, a lot of games left, and still a lot to do with the season, and guys can step up and perform in their roles as well as us kind of get things back on track with as far as winning. Yeah,
relative to team goals right now, nothing is a lost cause at this point, right? The things you want to get done this year can still get done if you turn it around.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's you don't like where you're at, you're not happy, but there's still time to fix it. Still time to fix everything.
Relative to team unity, how's it been, and is it harder when you're not getting the results you want, and on a day where maybe the defense feels they played well enough to win and the offense had a tough time with ball security? Are those tough weeks after? How is it for the team right now?
It's obviously nobody likes to lose, whether you're on offense or defense or special teams, but I think the bottom line is the message to the kids is that no one role is more important than the other, and you play good defense and you're not playing as well on offense. It doesn't mean that, it doesn't mean anything. Everybody's role is important, and so we need to be there to cheer on the offense to make sure that they're reaching their capability, and they're doing the same for us when we struggle, and everybody's cheering on each individual person just to make sure that everybody fulfills their role. And I think that's the cool thing about football is you get to teach your kids a little bit more about family, and some of these kids are already married, but I mean, my role as a worker, you call it work, but it's just play for me because it's football. Versus my wife who's at home as a homemaker. I mean, her role is just as important, if not more. And I probably more out there to the public, and you see things, but different roles, and everybody's role is important, and we just got to continue to encourage each other and help each other. And like we talked about, I think 2 weeks ago, we got to stick to the principles that matter, right? Love, hard work, being organized, just all those things that really make a good team. And it's easy when you start losing to start kind of putting your finger and pointing at things that are probably don't have as much to do with winning and losing. And so we just got to stick to the things that we know that are time tested from the beginning of time all the way till now. We know that love and hard work and loyalty, determination, all those things are going to pay off for you if we just continue to teach that.
Kalani preaches the 111th, right?
Yeah,
all the time.
Yep, absolutely. And it's do your 111th, but also trust your guy next to you. I mean, that's just as important. If you're doing your 111th, you don't trust the guy next to you, then you're going to end up doing 211th, and you're going to end up screwing something up on your side.
Yeah, so. And do you see that when you look at film, game to game? You see a guy trying to do his someone else's 11th?
Yep, all the time. And so now, lately, or at least in the last week of practice, seeing a lot of guys starting to call other people out, right, to just do your job or be more accountable, which is great. I think that's what needs to happen instead of just quietly trying to do their job. Just there needs to be some communication as far as everybody being accountable to each other.
You guys played Friday night. You guys didn't meet as a team Saturday, did you, or did you?
We did. We
Did you?
because of the short week. We play on Fridays, so today was technically like a Tuesday for us, and so we needed to work to put that game to rest, and then coaches started game planning so that we can have the game plan ready when the kids came in today.
Can you give us a sense of Saturday, what the vibe was like, and how you felt it was put to bed to get clear for a new week?
The vibe sucked. You know, I mean, nobody's happy. You kind of come in there, you feel like, dang, here we go again. You know, but after the head coach gets up and speaks, and the type of speaker that he is, and the type of passion and emotion that he has, it's really good. I mean, it's really straightforward. You know what you need to work on. Everybody knows that we're all still in it together. And I think, if anything, bringing us tighter together as a group. And after that's all done and everything's kind of spoken, it's out there, then it's like, okay, let's put that to rest and let's move forward. And so I think that the feeling was bad at first, just because I think it should be when you want to win. And then at the end of it, when the kids left, I think it's kind of a renewed energy to just get back on track and refocus.
I'm glad you said all of that, because it does kind of come down to the guy being Kalani right now. And I mentioned the coaches show tomorrow night, and I wish people could all be in the room when he does that show on Tuesday nights, because of, and I'll use the word energy, but it's more than energy. It's more of an aura and a vibe that he brings to an audience and to a show and to any group of people he's talking to. It's a special thing that he brings. And it's not just talk and it's not just feel. There's a real thing to it. And I know that ultimately it will pay dividends for this program.
Yeah, it will. He's the right man at the helm, and we all back him up, and we're all here to push in the same direction.
That's why I hope so much. I know that all of Cougar Nation does too, that you get the results you need and are working to deserve, so that you can get this thing flipped around and go in the right direction. Good luck this week.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Coach Elisa Tuiaki, BYU's defensive coordinator. We've got Ty Detmer coming up next as we go from defense to offense. Coach Detmer is after this as we come back to JCW's. We're back in a minute.
For over 100 years, the skilled electricians of BYU.
How's your volume to you before we set the levels here? You okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. One minute. Okay. Hey, oh, sorry. Okay.
Live from the new skin BYU Sports Network. Let's head back to JCW's in Provo and the voice of the Cougars, Greg Wrubell.
Second half hour of the Coordinator's Corner here at JCW's. Our thanks to Coach Elisa Tuiaki, BYU's defensive coordinator in the first half hour, switching sides of the ball with Coach Ty Detmer, the OC, here in the second half hour. Coach Ty, good to see you once again. Been a little while for me, at least.
Yep.
And here you come in at 1-4 on the year. Last year's start was 1-3, so there were some similarities in starts to season. What's been the biggest difference, would you say, from last year's start to this year's start from your perspective?
I think, we lost some senior leadership last year. And so, obviously in some of those losses last year, we were close within a field goal or a point or things like that. And it hasn't been that way this year. So little bit of the inexperience, leadership that we lost with Taysom and Jamal, that kind of the energy of the offense a little bit. So, we're got some guys that are starting to kind of step up and fill that role, but it's hard to jump right in and be that guy right from the start. And then with the injuries we've had, that adds and compounds things that all of a sudden you're kind of a different type of team than you thought you were going to be.
Injuries at quarterback primarily, and how much of what has happened, Ty, has to be viewed through the prism of this weekly kind of quarterback quandary you're now in?
Well, it's tough as a coordinator. You're trying to play to the quarterback's strength, and then so we've changed kind of the look from week one to now. We're a lot different type of offense. So it's trying to find that sweet spot where your quarterback, the guy that's pulling the trigger and running the show, can be comfortable and play without having to overthink things, and then at the same time having enough to compete against some really good teams. So it doesn't make it easy when you don't have continuity out there and consistency, and having a guy that can learn as the season goes on and learn game to game, because now you got a different guy in there every other week, it seems like.
How does your quarterback situation stand today?
Well, if Tanner's cleared, he's seeing the doctor this afternoon. If he's cleared, he'll be the guy. If Bo's cleared, he'll be the starter. And then after that, it's kind of all hands on deck right now. We're exploring all options. You saw Austin Confensis in there as a run type of package, and Coy, we know that he made some mistakes and forced some throws, but I think he'll learn from that. And then we've got Joe Critchlow and Cody Wilstead kind of chomping at the bit, wanting to get their time. So we talk as a staff on Saturday. I know after the game it was kind of we're not sure what's happening, but as you talk as a staff Saturday and Sunday and kind of figure out what the plan is, it's kind of all hands on deck with the other three and waiting to see with Tanner and Bo.
So you say if Tanner gets cleared, he'd be the guy. Now, if Bo got cleared, it would have to be Tanner not getting cleared to make Bo the guy, wouldn't it, at that point? Because if Tanner ready, he's ready to go, right?
Yeah, that's probably the situation. And, Bo did some really good things, and I thought, had us in a position we were going, and kind of bad luck on the interception for a touchdown where it hits off a helmet and bounces right to their defender.
In his arms.
It's kind of been the way, the theme of the season a little bit on some of those bounces this year. But he really progressed from week one to week two, I thought. And so, Tanner would be the guy if he gets cleared.
Yeah, you're not going to talk about injuries as a coaching staff policy unless they're season ending. We understand that. But is there a chance that Bo is able to still see the field this year and still be a contributor for you? People are worried about him, I think.
Oh, yeah. We'll know more here in the next day or two. And, after that, we'll kind of go from there. So don't know what the prognosis is, or, all those things. So, of course, we want the best interest for the young man first, and whatever is best for him, we'll do. And the doctors always make all those decisions. Yeah. We as coaches, we stay out of that, and just whatever they tell us, whoever can be cleared is cleared, and whoever can't, they'll be on the shelf until they're ready to go.
You use who's available to you. Does your gut tell you that if Bo had played a healthy 4 quarters, you get out of there with a win Friday night?
Well, it's hard to have hindsight, but he brought a different dimension because he was trouble for him in the run game as well as the pass game, and I think he was settled in a lot more comfortable. Just looking at him and making the reads, and some of the deep throws where he was on point and just missed Jonah early in the game.
Yeah.
And then settled in, nice throw to Bo. So I think, you like to think that had things stayed the same, that was a pretty good combination for us with him, running and throwing. So it probably was a different game, but we'll never know.
When you go back and look at the play that took him out, what were your thoughts?
Well, I'm not sure if it was that play or one earlier where he got, on the interception, his head kind of hit the turf, and he came off and seemed okay. I asked him if he was okay to go. The trainers kind of looked at him, and nobody, there was no indication there was anything wrong. But the play where he actually came out of the game looked kind of innocent, It was more of a forearm to the head or something. So makes me think maybe there was something before that, but there was no indication and nothing from him that indicated anything was wrong. So sometimes with that, it doesn't take a lot, with the head injury.
Yeah, now Coy is somebody you know better than anybody else in the room. How do you overall view his night, and did it surprise you to the extent that he did try to seem to struggle with accuracy?
It wasn't so much accuracy as I think, he's the type of kid, he wants to make every throw, and he's going to try to push it down the field and help the team win, and I think just being a little aggressive, over aggressive, and then the second interception got it inside to Micah Simon instead of outside, and he tried to throw it on time and just got it inside. But he seemed every time he made a decision, the ball was coming out on time, and we got in a situation not fair to him that we fumbled and kind of put us in a situation where we had to throw it more than we probably needed to had we not fumbled the football, and we stay with kind of the game plan and dinking and dunking and then taking our shots. I thought overall he managed the game. He got guys lined up. He made good decisions on some of the bubbles we threw in the run game, and so I know he'd love an opportunity to learn from that and be a little more conservative maybe and a little more sure of the decision making if that opportunity comes up again.
The throw he makes to Jonah down the sideline is as pretty and perfect a throw as you're going to want a quarterback to make. It was a nice play.
It was, and that's, he can do those things. And, the one to Bushman was right on the money. Just happened we didn't find the free safety and see him cutting him off. So, I say he wasn't all that inaccurate. The decision-making and placement of the ball wasn't always where it needed to be. It's first real action in a couple years, and you don't always as a quarterback want to be judged on that coming in a tough situation on the road and maybe not a game plan that really fits you either.
All right, we'll take a break with Coach Ty Detmer. We'll come back and talk some more about what went down and what's ahead with Boise State on tap. This is the Coordinator's Corner. We're talking offense this half hour. Hashtag CCBYU for questions in for Coach Detmer. That's hashtag CCBYU. The Coordinator's Corner continues from JCW's right after this. Okay.
This is the Coordinator's Corner on the new skin BYU Sports Network. Now let's rejoin the voice of the Cougars, Greg Wrubell.
Back at JCW's here in Provo for the Coordinator's Corner. Coach Tuiaki was with us in the first half hour talking defense. We hit the other side of the ball with Coach Ty Detmer, the offensive coordinator, in this half hour. We talked a bit about what went on against Utah State on Friday night, and so much of it comes down to the ball security issues that resulted in a -6 margin. No matter what else you do, it almost doesn't matter when you're -6, right?
Yeah, well, exactly. We've been pretty good with haven't had many fumbles this season up until last game. And
0 fumbles lost until Logan.
right, and I think all 3 came on trying to fight for extra yards. So it's not lack of effort. It's just taking care of the football, knowing kind of when the play is kind of dead and people are going to start coming in and taking shots and stripping the ball. So we've got to be better and take care of the ball in traffic and make sure we go to the ground with it and not allow people to stand us up and then come in and take some shots on us. So it's not due to lack of effort, and it's not due to guys trying, and it in fact it was due to too much effort.
Gaining
on
every
a couple
possible
of them.
yard.
So, they'll learn from those mistakes, and it's kind of that growing pain. It's freshmen and first real opportunity for Ula to be the guy and to carry the load, and he just trying to make a play and trying to get extra yards for us, and the ball gets popped out from behind. You don't expect to get hit from behind on that one, and we just got to take care of the football with the fumbles and then interceptions. We got to make sure we see the throw and make good decisions. If it's not there, our defense is playing good enough for us to win if we just punt the football and play field position.
Yeah.
And so that was the disappointing thing, was we played good enough to win defensively. And, I told the offense Saturday that, we're supposed to score points, not give up points. And we gave up points, whether it was short field or throwing it and them returning it. So football is all about field position and turnovers. Yep. A lot of the stats that go into a win, those are the 2 biggest factors, and we were not good Friday night.
Yeah, my big 3 would be average starting field position, turnover margin, and third down conversion. And pretty much, if you're going to win those 3 categories, you're going to win the football game more times than not. It's interesting, Ty, that through 2 games, you guys had 1 turnover. 12 in the last 3. They really have come in kind of a clump, and they've been in a really short span of time.
Yeah, and it's not one guy. It's multiple guys, and it's some guys that haven't carried it a lot. It's new quarterbacks in the game trying to make plays, make throws. And so whoever goes in the game, we've got to stress ball security and you don't want to get in a situation where you play not to lose the game. You want to go play to win the game. So it's that fine balance of how much effort do you give once you come to contact. You don't want guys going and getting hit and falling down and scared to fumble. So we just have to be good at making good decisions and then taking care of the football in traffic, and we'll be fine. It's a big correlation, like you said, of wins and losses, and it's not one guy that it keeps happening to, or that guy wouldn't be playing for us. It's multiple guys in multiple situations, and we got to be better.
And unfortunately, BYU's turnover issues are really closely tied to field position because of where they've happened. Of your 13 turnovers, 12 have happened on your side of the field. The average LOS is the 32-yard line of BYU. That's a big part of it too.
Yeah, and I look at it, and we've had some first down interceptions. And as a coach, you want to take your shots on first down, but if they're not there, check it down and let's get yardage. And if
play another down.
If we get 4, it's 2nd and 6. It's okay, or 2nd and 10 is okay. And so you're educating the quarterbacks on all the game situations and scenarios and when to be aggressive. And if you're going to take your shot, it's us or nobody. And so and then on our own end of the field, I think our fumbles this last week all came after 5+ yard gains. So we already had 5 yards to contact, and now, that's a pretty good football play when you're running the ball. And we don't need to then try to get a lot more after that, especially once it starts closing in on you. We got to go to the ground with the ball. So that's been the hard part, is we put our defense in bad situations. And when you're on the offensive side of the ball, it's hard to go into the coach's locker room after the game when you knew we're putting our defensive coaches in a bad spot.
When you were the BYU quarterback, how did you view turnovers or INTs in particular relative to a cost of doing business as much as the ball was in the air?
Well, my junior year, we had a lot of guys back. We were a pretty veteran team, and I think I broke the record in interceptions that year because I knew that we could go and get it back. We had a good enough team that it was okay. We'd get the ball back and we'd go down and be able to score. My senior year, we were brand new. We were a lot younger. I felt like that was a conscious effort on my part not to turn it over, and I think I cut my interceptions by 3 times fewer interceptions that year because I knew I had to take care of the ball and not put our team in a bad situation. And so, we've got to have that same mentality with our quarterbacks, no matter who goes in the game, that if it's there, I'm going to take it. If it's not, I'm going to check it down or be careful with the football. And if I have to punt, I'm going to trust my defense to get it back for us. Because, but that's the way you got to play the game.
As uncertain as the quarterback situation is today, Monday of game week, what gives you hope and confidence for Friday and beyond that things get sorted out there?
Well, at some point we'll get Tanner back, and he'll be healthy, and same with Bo, hopefully. And I think through the process we're learning about our team, we're learning about our guys, and we're starting to get guys in the right situation for the right play, and starting to feel pretty good about our personnel and what we feel like they can do best. And so we're getting there. It's when you have to plug in a new quarterback, that kind of throws it all out the window a little bit. Yeah. So at some point we'll get to that point where we kind of have it all dialed in, and then when Tanner's back, he'll be able to step right in, and hopefully it'll be a kind of a well-oiled machine and just him catch up, and that'll happen quickly. So, but I'm excited. Our guys play hard. They go and they give effort, and I hope our fans appreciate that, even with the mistakes, that we've got some young guys out there that are giving everything they have, and they're going to try to win the game every time, and sometimes that costs us.
Now, before I leave Logan entirely, there's a lot of attention on the 2 fumbles, but Ula had a 100-yard rushing night. I think 102 was his night, and BYU as a team rushes for 210. You rush for 210, you're normally going to expect to win the game. Of course, the -6 margin just takes that away a little bit. In fact, I went back and found out that since Lavelle came in 72, 139 times before, BYU'd run for 200 yards in a game, and they'd won 129 of those. That's normally a pretty good indicator. It wasn't that way Friday night, but you had a good running night, and the line, I thought, did its job well. No sacks allowed. There were some positives.
Yeah, our offensive line played really well, and Ula ran hard, ran well. Squally ran well.
Yeah.
The turnovers just cost you, and they're the big point of the game, but I think we take that and we build on it and take care of the football, and we'll be okay, So a lot to build on from that, and then just a lot to clean up and coach a little better and coach harder.
The 2 touchdown throws we saw with Bo Hodge in the game were nice. The first one comes with Austin Kofensis taking the direct snap. It's an end around to Micah. It's a reverse to Bo. It's a throw to Braden Elbakri for his second touchdown. Great play design. Take us through that one.
Well, we had that in for Wisconsin, and we actually called it Badger Special and didn't really have an opportunity to run it. And so we wanted to make sure we felt like we could get what we wanted back there and slip Braden out past everybody. And so it was great execution. We had a few weeks to practice it with the Wisconsin week and then the bye week, so it was something we'd been working on and just waiting for the right time. And
was it still Badger Special?
It was still Badger Special,
okay.
Even though you're playing the Aggies, so we don't have to change the name and recreate anything. But we have some of those things that you're waiting for the right time and the right opportunity, and just good execution on everybody's part.
And then it was a Bo to Bo, Hodge to Tanner, and Bo Tanner does a great job of getting just a toe down before the leg comes out of bounds. But Bo Hodge put it in a good spot, and then Bo Tanner makes a nice grab.
Yeah, Tanner has great speed, and so we've been trying to get some opportunities down the field for him and Jonah and Talon as well, and that happened to be one where we got point in the game where they were playing heavy run and we wanted to take our shots. So part of the game plan was more of a commitment by me to take some shots down the field and call some of those routes to give us some opportunity and try to get DBs off of us a little bit too. And like I said, we just missed Jonah on the first one. Bo was a little amped up, and as soon as it left his hand, I was like, oh boy, that's too far.
Even for Jonah, who's behind his guy.
I know, and was gaining ground. But we came back and were able to get Bo, and like you said, great job getting that toe down, and those types of plays we need to just keep people honest and get them off of us and let them know that we will run by you at times.
Last week or so, some more targets shifted to Neil Pau and Micah Simon, I've noted, and those are 2 guys that have been and can be playmakers for you.
Yeah, trying to get the ball in people's hands at times, and Micah's done a great job, and we know we got to try to find ways to create opportunities for guys. And so we're trying to do that a little bit more. And like I said, personnel, guys for different situations. And Neil does a great job blocking on the edge, and so it's natural for him to kind of now be a bubble guy and be out there whether he could run or run a bubble. And if they collapse, we throw it out there. And he's one of those guys that's sneaky shifty, maybe not burner speed, but he does a good job of just a little wiggle here and there that makes guys miss.
You just used the word natural talking about Neil, and that's the thing. There are a lot of things about his game that seem to be just innate feel things that you might take a long time to really instruct somebody else to do that really come naturally for him. He's good that way.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what you're looking for as a coach. When you start recruiting, it's that natural ability. There's a lot of things you can't coach that happen in a game, and you want guys to have some of that ability and feel and understand the game and what's happening. And he's one of those guys. He just got off a mission. Ula just got off a mission. We got a lot of guys that are playing for us that we're relying on that just got off of missions, but they have a little natural feel to them that you try to take advantage of and put them in a situation to use it.
That leads us to this point before the break. We begin our segment back at the bottom of the hour with you talking about losing Taysom and Jamal and losing a lot of experience. You've alluded to a couple of guys now who are on the front end of their experience. Do you look at this offense and realize this is the beginning, and for people to kind of maybe keep that in mind when you combine the fact there's been quarterback injuries and the fact so many guys are new to it, do you see something that really can grow into what you want it to be?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've got 5 seniors on the offense and 3 are O-linemen, so we'll miss them and that experience up front. But our skilled guys, there's a lot of youth there. Matt Bushman's a freshman, just got didn't play last year, was on a mission, and so, we're relying on a lot of these guys that it's the first time really playing in 3 years and jumping back into it and then trying to figure out a new offense for them and all those things. So not to make excuses. I mean, they're in there and we got to coach them, and they wouldn't be in there if they weren't good players. But there is some youth there and inexperience that things happen in a game that is the first time for them, and they got to learn from it. And you only learn from it through game experience. So we're taking our lumps right now, but feel like as coaching staff, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and it seems way out there, and it's a little speck of light, but to us as coaches. But when you look at the big picture and down the road where we're going to be, these guys are going to play some good football for a long time for us.
And if people are wondering where their offensive coordinator's mindset or confidence level is at, what would your response be to that?
Well, I mean, we're going to go coach whoever's out there, and we're going to go play, and we're working hard to find opportunities and ways to get the ball into the end zone. And, I've never been a person to sit there and sulk and pout and worry about, when I took the coaching job at St. Andrews, we were 0-10 that first year, and I talked to Lavelle and said, what did you do? How did you build BYU? And he said, we don't worry about the things we didn't have. We concentrated on what we did have. And so as a coaching staff, that's our job. What do we have this week to work with, and what can they do best? How can we help our guys be in a situation to be successful? And that's our mentality as coaches right now in the offensive room is, okay, what do we have, and how can we put a plan together that we can be successful? And we're not just going to go out there and, let's run it 3 times and try to punt. We're going to have to throw the football to beat people, especially when you're playing good teams. And so my job to coach up the quarterbacks to make good decisions and make sure that they have something they're comfortable with, and Ben Cahoon's job to make sure the receivers have an opportunity to get open and run routes that they feel comfortable with. And same with Coach Empey and Coach Clark and Coach Mahe. We're all in it together and trying to use the experience everybody has from whatever situation you've been in to draw from those things and then hopefully have some guys, be successful and help them out.
Right on. Next team up is Boise State. We'll talk about the Broncos next. If you have any questions for Coach Detmer, we'll ask him in the next segment to hashtag #CCBYU. That's CC for Coordinator's Corner. Hashtag #CCBYU to ask a question of Ty on Twitter as we come up with our final segment of the Coordinator's Corner. Ty's next here at JCW's. Back after this.
Hi, I'm Ned Sick.
Live on the new skin BYU Sports Network. Let's head back to JCW's in Provo and the voice of the Cougars, Greg Wrubell.
Final quick segment on Coordinator's Corner. Time for one question for Ty. It comes in on Twitter, hashtag #CCBYU. What are the biggest differences you see now in college football defenses versus the defenses when you played or even in the NFL?
I think, everybody's adjusted to the passing game. So linebackers back when I played were 250 and had the big neck roll and oversized shoulder pads because they were taking on lead blockers and guards. And now they're 220 and fast and play well in space. So that's probably the biggest difference. And then you a lot more diversity in what you're seeing week to week.
Now, not a lot of time left to talk about Boise State, but in about 30 or 40 seconds, summation of what they do well and what will challenge you most on Friday.
Well, they're a good, solid program, so they're always going to play sound and play hard, play fast. They're a little younger this year than they have been. They lost some seniors last year, but they're coming off a loss to Virginia and a bye week, so I know they'll be chomping at the bit. But they play good, sound, hard football and multiple fronts, multiple coverages, so we'll have to be ready to see it all. And I'm not sure what we'll see after last week and where we ended the game with different defensive packages for us.
BYU and Boise Friday. Ty, thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, that's Ty Detmer. Our thanks to Ty and Coach Elisa Tuiaki for this week's Coordinator's Corner. We're back with you next Monday at noon here at JCW's in Provo. So for Coach Detmer and Coach Tuiaki, Greg Wrubell, thanking you for tuning in. We'll see you next Monday on the Coordinator's Corner here at JCW's. So long. All right.